Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video. There has been a revolution going on in the last 10 years in digital photography, and it's the transition from mechanical to electronic shutters, with many modern cameras still having both. This leads me to getting asked all the time, should I be using the electronic or mechanical shutter in my camera? The answer is it depends, and in this video I'll explain depends on what. And I'll explain why this hummingbird's wings are going in one direction with one wing and another direction with the other. I'll also explain why I prefer the mechanical shutter on my Canon R5, but the electronic shutter on my new Canon R5 Mark II. My name is Simon D'Entremont and I'm a professional nature and wildlife photographer living in Eastern Canada. I make weekly videos giving you photo tips or taking you behind the scenes for nature photography. Subscribe if you want to see more. First off, what is an electronic shutter? Well, this differentiates it from a traditional shutter, which is mechanical. And by the way, while most photographers think they understand a mechanical shutter, most don't know how it works. The general assumption is that a mechanical shutter is one that a cover goes up to reveal the sensor and back down to close it again. But when you think about it, that wouldn't work. You see, the bottom of the image would spend more time exposed than the top, leading to the bottom of the image being brighter than the top of the image. The solution to this is to use two so-called curtains. These move across the sensor either in sequence or in tandem for really fast shutter speeds, exposing a slice of the sensor that stays constant in size, resulting in equal exposure time. The faster the shutter speed, the faster this movement. And if you are curious what electronic first curtain shutter means in your camera, this is a hybrid that starts the exposure by reading the sensor electronically and finishes it with the second mechanical curtain. Now to contrast this to the electronic shutter. This type of shutter is actually just a reading of the sensor data electronically. That is, rather than exposing the shutter to light for a fixed period of time, the sensor is made active for a fixed amount of time, and the light gathered in that time forms the image. Now there are both advantages and disadvantages of using an electronic shutter. On the advantages front, first off, the electronic shutter is silent. If you want to photograph a chess match, a music recital, or a quiet wedding ceremony, this is a great feature. Secondly, there's less shutter vibration. This makes photos taken at very slow shutter speeds sharper, as there isn't a small camera shake as every photo is taken from the shutter mechanism. Also, with long focal lengths, these vibrations are exaggerated. But here's a photo I took of an owl with a 500mm lens with a 2x teleconverter, handheld, so 1000 millimeters, with the electronic shutter, and see how sharp this still is. Also, the time it takes to physically move the mechanical shutter limits how many frames per second you can squeeze out of the camera. Many cameras can take, let's say, 10 or 12 frames per second with a mechanical shutter, but maybe 20, 30, or 40 frames with the electronic shutter. And finally, electronic shutters allow for higher shutter speeds. While many cameras are often limited to 1/6000th or 1/8000th of a second with a mechanical shutter, many high-end cameras these days can get shutter speeds of 1/32,000th or even 1/64,000th of a second. But these benefits come with some caveats. Not all is rosy. First, electronic shutters can have limits for flash sync speeds. The reading of the sensor and the brightening of the scene by the flash may not line up well with very fast shutter speeds. Also, the photo file quality may suffer. On some cameras, the bit depth may be lower, such as 12-bit files with the electronic shutter and 14-bit with the mechanical shutter. As the frames per second go up, the files may get squished to a lower quality to get more data through the memory card in less time. Another big issue for indoor shooters is banding. This happens because most lights, with LEDs being a really bad offender, actually don't stay at constant brightness. They flicker. The problem is your eyes can't see the flickering, but your camera can. So stadiums, gyms, sports venues, offices with fluorescent lights, and many others with artificial lighting can have this problem. Your eyes see a steady light, your camera sees 120 flashes per second, and fast shutter speeds can make this worse. And one of the worst offenders of electronic shutters is called rolling shutter. This is because your camera reads the shutter one line at a time, sequentially. So it reads the top line, then the next, then the next. It then assembles all of the lines into your photo. Essentially, it scans the photo instead of taking it all at once. So the top of the photo happens before the bottom. Great for something that isn't moving. But picture this. You're driving in a car and stick your camera out the window to take a photo of a telephone pole. When you take a photo with the electronic shutter, the camera reads the top line, then the next, then the next. But by the time the camera reads out the bottom lines, the telephone pole has moved. As such, the image gets stretched. You can test this on your own camera easily. Put your camera into video mode and go stand in front of a fence, trees, or telephone poles. Pan the camera back and forth quickly and you can see the vertical lines wobble. Some people call this effect the jello effect. Now, the amount or how bad this effect is largely based on one important measure. And in an electronic shutter world, this number may even be more important than shutter speed when it comes to capturing movement. It's readout speed. The readout speed is the speed at which the camera can get the information off the sensor sequentially from top to bottom. Early cameras that were first into the foray of the electronic shutter had slower readout speeds. This caused many of the artifacts and disadvantages we just discussed to be magnified. But manufacturers are now putting more and more powerful processing capacity in the cameras, allowing for faster and faster readouts. This means that the data from the sensor is read quickly and stored quickly onto your memory card. Some manufacturers are even removing the mechanical shutter in favor of just having an electronic shutter, but the requirement for which is a really fast readout. Now, sensor technology is also playing a role. Technologies like stacked sensors and backside illuminated sensors can allow for faster readouts, improving performance in the readout game. And some manufacturers are even starting to look at what are called global shutters, where the data is read all at once, bringing readout speeds to essentially zero. So back to the original question in this video. Should I be using my electronic shutter? In this particular case, I'm addressing whether or not you should be worried about rolling shutter. The answer depends on two things: what you shoot and what the readout speed of your camera is. Here's the readout speed of many popular cameras. You can find the readout speed of yours online in the manufacturer's information about your camera. If your camera has a readout speed of over 45 milliseconds, I'd probably stick with the mechanical shutter. That's because at that speed, rolling shutter artifacts are a real risk in fast action. Here on my drone wings, fast action punishes slower sensors. Between 20 and 40 milliseconds is what I'd call the cautious group, where slower movement is probably okay and faster action may be okay. Note that some forms of action behave weirdly. For example, these bird shots are a problem because the bird is sideways to me, with one wing up and one wing down. When both wings are up or down at the same time, there isn't an issue. So consider your subject. The more that they occupy both the top of the photo and the bottom of the photo at the same time, the more of an issue you'll have. My Canon R5 is in this range, and you can see rolling shutter is possible, but very, very rare. I had to look through thousands of photos just to find a handful. From 10 to 20 milliseconds is what I'd call very good. The electronic shutter is very unlikely to cause you rolling shutter artifacts except for the most unusual situation. But it is possible. And finally, under 10 milliseconds. This is what I'd call the elite range. At this speed, the electronic shutter is actually matching high-end mechanical shutters from a few years ago. The drone wings look pretty good, and for most real-life scenarios involving fast action, the stretching artifacts of rolling shutter are slim to nil. Also, faster readouts allow cameras to gather data for autofocus adjustments more quickly. Maybe that's why when I tested the Canon R1 in tricky situations in Africa, the focus was the stickiest I've ever tested. By the way, follow me on social media, where I almost always include a tip with my posts, and sign up for my email list and get my free guide on shooting backlit for free. Link below. So where does that leave me with my personal cameras? I've been using the original Canon R5 with a mechanical shutter. Not just of any risk of rolling shutter, which was small and flukes if they happened, but more because the R5's mechanical shutter files were 14-bit and the electronic shutter 12-bit. But now with the Canon R5 Mark II, the files are 14-bit even with the electronic shutter, so the readout speed is what I'd call the elite class. So electronic shutter it is. I think one of the most interesting things to look out for in the next few years is whether or not global shutters or faster readout speeds will be the main mechanism to get rid of rolling shutter. Global shutters are nice, but they currently come with some trade-offs, like higher base ISOs like 250 instead of 100, and less dynamic range and more noise. On the other hand, if readout speeds were brought down low enough, like 1 or 2 milliseconds, a global shutter wouldn't even be needed. Who will win the race? Maybe flash-heavy work will favor global shutters, while professional action shooters will enjoy good enough, super fast stack sensors. I'll be watching this with interest. If you like this video, please give it a like and YouTube will show it to even more photographers looking to make the right decision on what shutter type they should use. And I hope that you can use these tips the next time you go out so you too can take your own unique and amazing photos. I know you can do it.